Anytime you're ready.
Okay, so I'm Alberto, and I'm going to be refuting the claim that extra games are not as effective to children, teenagers, and young adults for physical fitness as traditional workout programs. The advocate claimed that extra games are 1, not as effective as traditional workout programs because there's a lack of intensity. 2, the body mass index, like most extra games use, is not a good way of measuring one's fitness. And 3, extra games do not have enough options, whereas workout programs have much larger options. Okay. Focusing on the first subclaim, that extra games are not as effective as traditional workout programs because they lack intensity. The original argument cited Dr. Kurt A. Brummels in a clinical study of the comparison of efficiency between traditional and video game balance-based programs, and used it as a claim against the intensity of extra games. However, further reading of the study showed that use of video game-based research programs increased patient enjoyment and engagement, and clinicians should feel comfortable prescribing video game-based activities as a way to improve physical performance and patient compliance. Additionally, the conclusion that Dr. Brummels came to has showed no evidence that patients responded better to traditional workout programs than extra game use. In fact, the study only showed how efficient extra games can be when used as a therapeutic exercise because of the lack of intensity. Now, going on to the body mass index, the BMI is not a good way of measuring one's fitness. I completely agree with this. However, it applies to both fitness programs and extra game use. So it's not really relevant to the topic at hand because according to Dr. Robert Hicks, a significant drawback with BMI is that it doesn't take into account a person's body fat content, which is an indicator of the risk of future health problems. This means that the problem with BMI is a completely separate argument all by itself and is really not applicable to the claim. Now moving back to the extra game topic, extra games do not have enough options, whereas traditional workout programs have much larger options. This was stated in the original argument, and in the original argument he used the example of Dance Dance Revolution versus the arsenal of machines in a moderately sized gym. However, this is a not really good sample size because using one example of an extra game is not enough to compare to how many machines are in a gym. In a study by the American Heart Association, many extra games meet the AHA's criteria for moderate intensity daily activity. And the article also lists many other extra games that range from muscle strengthening workouts to balance and stretching games, and goes on to list over 7 other categories. So, this main claim that extra games are not as effective to children, teenagers, and young adults for physical fitness as traditional workout programs may be valid in some places, but contradicting evidence, irrelevant claims, and small sample sizes make the topic at hand seem more of a sweeping generalization than a constant fact. Thank you.
Well, I don't remember how long the original claim was. Your response is relatively brief, but you know what? You did a very nice job in the time that you spoke covering the issues, identifying exactly what it is that are the important elements. I like the fact that you use evidence from the advocate's own source to kind of extend the argument and suggest that the context really tends to support an opposing point of view rather than the one the advocate presented. That's a good illustration of why it's important to look at all of the information that's available on a subject and not just the information on one side of the topic. I think you've got a very good argument about BMI and the way it was utilized by the advocate, and suggest that it's really an irrelevant thesis that's been developed. Both of you can agree to it and suggest that it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't advance one claim or the other. And then on the last response, I think that you have a nice piece of information from the Heart Association that talks about how there are all these other games that might produce these benefits. And I think you do have a good example here when you say, how is DDR, which is one game, supposed to compete with right there you go. All the other options that are in the gym there? It doesn't seem like it's a reasonable generalization to make, and when you consider other extra games that are available, like the Heart Association does, they say they've got a whole bunch of other games that meet the standards of the Heart Association in regard to these kinds of things. So I thought that that was, a very solid piece of information and a good utilization of your time. Thank you.